Dr. Swetha Kambhampati, you had just presented up-to-date data from the largest real-world study with brexu-cel. Can you walk us through your findings?
Yes, absolutely. We just looked at this using the CIBMTR database, safety and efficacy outcomes of patients with high-risk disease, namely deletion TP53 and high Ki-67 over 50%. And we found in our univariate analysis and efficacy that there was a numerically higher overall survival in those patients without deletion TP53 compared to those. But when adjusting for their baseline characteristics, there was no statistically significant difference. With respect to safety, we found that there was a higher incidence of prolonged thrombocytopenia and neutropenia in those patients with deletion TP53 compared to those without, but other safety outcomes of interest, including infections and non-relapse mortality, were overall comparable between the high-risk subgroups.
You compare the real-world study with the SUMA-2. You found that there wasn't really any difference, but the population that you included in your study was more sick people.
Yes, that is correct. We included patients with a median 3 prior lines of therapy, but range from 1 to 12, and with clinically significant comorbidities, and they were not included in the SUMA-2 study. And so, even in this data set, sort of adds evidence to the fact that even in this heavily pretreated high-risk patient population, CAR-T therapy can be very effective in these patients.
Could you say a few words about the clinical implications of your study?
I think patients with TP53 deletion and high Ki-67 scores are traditionally and historically have very poor prognosis, and standard therapies like chemotherapy, autologous stem cell transplant, and BTK inhibitor have very poor survival with these therapies. So I think this data suggests that perhaps we need to use novel therapies such as CAR-T therapy perhaps in earlier lines of treatment, and there is some validity in looking at immunotherapies and cellular therapies in this patient population.